Nebulas by Christina and Sabrina.
What are nebulae? By definition, a nebula is an interstellar cloud of dust and gases, like hydrogen and helium. There are 5 different types of nebulae: emission, reflection, planetary, dark, and supernova remnants. Some are formed from the gravitational collapse of gas in an interstellar medium, or ISM for short, although some are formed in the aftermath of supernova explosions.
History of the nebula. Ptolemy recorded 5 stars that appeared nebulous in 150 AD. The first true nebula was discovered by the Persian astronomer Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi and recorded in his book of Fixed Stars. Over the years, various astronomers have discovered the existence of more and more nebulae, most notably Edwin Hubble in the early 20th century.
Quick recap: the types of nebulae are emission, reflection, planetary, dark, and supernova remnants. I'll make sure Mr. Kozak assigns a quiz. The first type of nebula is the emission nebula. An emission nebula is a cloud of ionized gas emitting light of various colors. The most common source of ionization is high-energy photons emitted from a nearby hot star. Emission nebulae are the most colorful of the 5 main types of nebulae. They are lit internally from young stars still in their stellar nursery. The different colors are caused by the different gases and the composition of the dust in the nebula. Most emission nebulae are about 90% hydrogen, with the remainder of the gas being helium, oxygen, nitrogen, and other elements.
The second type of nebula is the reflection nebula. Reflection nebulae are clouds of interstellar dust which reflect the light of a nearby star or stars. Reflection nebulae are usually blue because the scattering is more efficient for blue light than red.
The next type is planetary nebulae. Planetary nebulae consist of an expanding glowing shell of ionized gas. They are relatively short-lived, lasting a few tens of thousands of years, compared to a typical stellar lifetime of several billion years. Only around 3,000 planetary nebulae are now known to exist in our galaxy, out of 200 billion stars. In short, they are quite rare.
The fourth type of nebula is the dark nebula. In essence, all nebulae are in fact dark, for they produce no visual light of their own. However, when astronomers refer to a dark nebula, they're speaking of one that blocks the light of something behind it, like a wall, and are thus only visible when they emit light from something behind them, from our line of sight. That is why we cannot see very far into our galaxy in visible light. There are too many lanes of dust and gas, aka dark nebulae, in the way, so astronomers must rely on other forms of light.
The last type are supernova remnants. There are 2 common ways that they are formed. Either a massive star may run out of fuel, ceasing to generate fusion energy in its core and collapsing inwards under the force of its own gravity to form a neutron star or a black hole, or a white dwarf star may accumulate material from a companion star until it reaches a critical mass and undergoes a thermonuclear explosion.
These are our sources, and I hoped you liked our nebula
Project. Get ready for that quiz.